there.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Hanley Effect. I'm John Dyben.
I'm Rachel Docekal.
Hey there, Dr. D.
Nice to see you, Dr.
Nice
D.
to see you as well.
I'm so excited about our guest today.
I am too. Everybody who, listens or watches or knows us knows, a few things about us. But one thing that everybody knows is that we are parents, that we are, we've got adult kids, we've got teenage kids. Parenting is something that's really key to us and important.
And to Hanley. I mean, Hanley does parenting programs to thousands of parents every single year. And of course, our prevention programs reach a couple 100,000 kids every single year.
It's pretty crazy. And our new children's program we've started.
Oh, I love that program.
But all of this to lead into, I'm excited about our guest. Dr. Michele Borba is an educational psychologist who has dedicated decades of an incredible career to help to understand kids, but not just to understand and work with, but she's written books. She's a keynote speaker. She's on TV, and she helps people understand those incredibly difficult questions of how do you help kids thrive. So welcome, Dr. Borba.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm just honored to be here. And congratulations on all the work you're doing. I love that term prevention, because too often we're intervening and boy, we don't get the results. So yay and bravo.
And you've actually worked with our prevention and parenting programs division. That was really tremendous. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'd love to do it again, and I'd love to be sitting there right there doing this face to face with you. But let's get some real live practical ideas in the hands of parents.
I love it. As we do that, before we do that, we love to know a little bit about you, and we love to let people know about you, and specifically, what do you do? But even more specifically, however you're comfortable, what led you? What was your journey like that led you to do and be where you are today?
Oh, kids. Every part of my journey, every part of a book has been something a child said to me, a teen said to me, and I just went a different path. Because if you only just ask the kids, they'll let you know. I started out as a special ed teacher. Then I worked with children who were really traumatized. And then I worked with gifted and talented kids. And I found no matter where they were, they had exactly the same needs. I had some amazing college professors. I think it was the one thing when I went back to get my master's and then a doctorate, it was Dr. Emmy Warner. And what she had was something that wasn't in any of my ed psych manuals or parenting manuals. Guy had 3 kids. And what it was following a cohort of 400 children for 40 years. And they're all kids we would have been concerned about. Homeless, sexually abused, traumatized, alcoholic parents, schizophrenic parents, and a large portion of them bounced back and were okay. So now it's rewinding and saying, what was the difference? It was always one caring person. If it wasn't the parent, it was a teacher or a coach. The second thing was a safe haven. And the third thing was somebody was teaching them skills so they could bounce back when the challenge came. And put all those together, I think it's 3 Ps. A person, a place, and a protective buffer. That's the triangle that's going to help kids. And that's how I ended up writing Thrivers and 28 other books, because I had a great professor who also said I should grow up and be a writer. Amazing. When teachers tell you something, it's like, oh my gosh, I never thought of it that way.
I love that. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, again, I have 2 children, but I've been in this field a long time. And, that triangle that you talk about, let's get into that more, because, that just the first one, for example, we call that at Hanley, that trusted adult. And that is so, so critical for every single young person to have. And it sometimes is a parent, but sometimes it's a teacher. Sometimes it is a mentor. Sometimes it's a grandparent or a friend. Talk about really what putting that triangle together looks like.
Well, I think the first thing is we've got to realize we matter. And the second thing we have to keep in mind is that you can't help a child regulate unless you're not regulated yourself. So what we're looking at is keeping yourself calm but also realizing you've got a lot more power than you realize. I just spoke at a keynote of the Board of Regents of Arizona, and I told teachers it doesn't cost a dime, but go back and give every one of your kids a 3x5 card and just ask them to do one thing. If you have a problem, who's the person you're going to go to? Then collect the cards. Does every single child have at least one trusted adult there? And if it's not the parent, is it somebody on your school site? It's just, I think we overlook, it's not the curriculum. It's us. It's us realizing we can be really powerfully resilient. I'll tell you one quick story. I was writing resilience, thrivers about resilience, and some reporter called me. And as I'm listening to her, I realized, number one, she was a little elderly, and number two, she was brilliant, but she had a clear British accent. So in the middle of it, I said, whoa, and let's stop here. Where did you grow up? And she said, Britain. I said, was that during the Blitz? And she said, yeah, I was in London. I said, okay, let's flip this. How did you bounce back? How did your parents bounce back when every night there's bombings and there's air raid sirens and she said, all of a sudden I just heard her completely stop. And she said, I don't remember that. I remember the sirens, but then as soon as the sirens went off, my parents would pull the black drapes and we'd start singing Ring Around the Rosie and playing games. And then all of a sudden you could hear her. She started to break down. She said, my parents must have been scared to death, but they were always calm. So we were calm, and that's how we made it through.
Oh my gosh. It's so powerful.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I had 3 questions and they just all went because that's so powerful. And as a dad, understanding that importance of regulation, I know it. And I know how important it is. And I still struggle sometimes with, I sometimes will know, and my kids are they're strong willed and they're smart. And so they love to argue and they're the best. They're the best. But, thinking about parents who are listening and who say, man, I don't know how to do that. How are there ways that parents can really expand their ability to do that?
Well, first of all, you got the A+ because you admitted there was an issue. I mean, the first thing you all have to know is, hey, we're all having trouble because it's an uncertain, anxious time. Who knows what's going to happen down the pike? But you pause right this minute and say, so how am I doing? How am I doing? And what do I need? I'm going to share something that I think was profound. I read a lot of research, which I know you do. But a couple of years ago, I think one of the most profound pieces of research ever came out from Flanders, and they looked at 50,000 people and they asked themselves, can we help, these are grown-ups, learn to do what you just said, improve our own well-being. But what if you have poor well-being? Can you still improve it? And what if you have real big physical challenges? Can you make a difference on your own self? So they looked at 400 studies of 50,000 people, and the answer was yes, but there was a footnote, and the footnote was kind of what you just said. You identify what works for you, not works for the neighbor or your partner. That's right. And you do the same tip. Now, this is the most amazing part. 1 to no more than 3 minutes a day, but you keep practicing the same thing until it becomes a habit. So any listener, what works for you? Is it walking outside? You don't need 50,000 people. Is it listening to an app? Is it baking cookies? Is it taking slow, deep breaths that Navy SEAL said was what they do to get through adversity? Right. And then what you do, something really profound, is you identify your key moments that you need the most. So you don't wait until the meltdown. You take a moment to regulate so you can respond, not react to your kid. And then part 3 that I love, teach it to your kid and do it together. Because then your whole family's learning it. It's like, there's 1 to 3 minutes when a parent says, I don't have time. Do it in the carpool. The kid's locked in the car with you. Yeah. Find what works for you. Find what works for you as a family. Because one of the key parts of thriving is knowing how to regulate in those tough times so you can think straight.
I think that is so succinct, beautiful, and accessible to anybody.
To anybody. Yeah.
You talk a lot about, can you expand a little bit? You talk about thriving, but this word resiliency. And I find that when I talk about or hear people talk about resiliency, there's a lot of different ideas about what it is, and people get thought pictures. Can you talk about what is resiliency?
Yes, because I'm so glad you brought it up, because I think it's misinterpreted.
Yeah.
And the first thing is, in order to realize we can make a difference on our kids' lives and help them thrive, which to me is resilience. It's the ability to bounce back, get through the challenges, and keep on going. It doesn't mean you're going to be like the little go immediately back to where you were before, because experiences change you. But resilience is made up of skills. It is not one trait. What I discovered when I was writing Thrivers, I was looking at Emmy Warner, but there's also Ann Matston. There was Norm Gurmese. There was Michael Rudder. I'm just throwing those names out so you know it's research based. They all looked at kids who were bouncing back, and they found the same thing. It wasn't one trait. It wasn't one moment. It wasn't, now I'm going to teach you resilience in the moment of the meltdown, but it was moment to say, let's all look at it as not a program, but a process. That it's, from womb to tomb as a scenario. It's never too late. There's not a window that says, oh my gosh, he's 17. I got to close the window because I can't teach him. It's not too late to us. So it's not too late for our kids. And what we do is figure out, I think, which traits we already have going for us that we model. Like, for instance, I discover there are 7 that are highly correlated. Don't go thinking you have to teach all 7 because it's a rare person that has them, but you have the confidence. You have empathy, your social relationships, and social competence. We already talked about self-regulation and self-control. Integrity is highly correlated to resilience. Sometimes you get through the real problem and you go, should I or shouldn't I? So that's there. Curiosity, an openness to, so what else can I do? Problem solving. A perseverance, you don't give up, you keep on going. And finally, optimism. I've got hope. Those are a lot on your table, and parent, don't go thinking, oh my gosh, I can't do that tomorrow. You're not supposed to. Resilience is a long time process. You just keep adding the skills. One more thing. When I tell this to parents, I tell them it's kind of like a savings account, like a piggy bank. Think of it for your child as a different way. But what you're doing is you keep adding these skills, like how to problem solve, how to slow down, what's your hobby that helps you cope. And if you keep adding to the savings account, when push comes to shove and the kid has the challenge, and a lot of times you're not there, can he bounce back without you? He pulls from his savings account and says, I'm going to problem solve. Yes. So that's why you're adding all these wonderful little traits to your helping your child, because who knows what the challenge is going to be.
So beautiful.
Yes, so good.
And that point that it's about equipping our kids for when we're not there. Yeah, especially when they're young. We just kind of think it's all about like being there and taking care of them. But I love that concept, that reminder that parenting is not about taking care of every single need, but it's really about equipping kids to be able to become people who can care for themselves when you're not there.
I love that. Because here's one point to you that goes, man, are we on the same page? Agency is one of the highest correlations to resilience. Is a kid, I got this, I can do it. And if we're always sugarcoating, solving the problem, stepping in, rescuing, you're actually robbing the child of learning resilience. So slowly start saying to yourself, what's the one little thing this week or this month that I can teach my child? We can do it together, and then I'll step back and make sure that he can do it without me. Oh, voila, you've got it.
So, question for you. Do you, in one of your books, give real world examples? And let me give you an example. My younger daughter, she needed to have some routine maintenance done on her car. I mean, this seems like something silly, right? First time, second time, my husband or I went with her, and then, we walked her through it, but we had her go to the dealership herself, speak to them, set up the maintenance appointment, all of those things. I'm not going to say that the first time that happened, it went, smoothly. She had some fear. She wasn't sure what to say. Mom, what if they do this? What if they do that? What if? And we walked through those what ifs, and then she went and she did it. And second time, by the third time, she'd really mastered it and she got it. She knew that the car needed maintenance and just automatically set up the appointment and took care of it. So, I think sometimes parents think that these opportunities have to be big, huge things. They don't. Maybe it's paying the bill at a restaurant. Maybe it is, there are 100 things, making your own physician's appointment or.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, first of all, yes. Again, we're on the same page. And here's the other thing, parent. You got to slowly move your child out of their comfort zone. They're going to be a little anxious because this is new. Right. You're always anxious in an uncertain situation. But what you did is be calm yourself. You identified what one little thing after 50,000 things they need, but one little thing they need this week, and that's managing their own car. And then the best way that I've discovered to teach any skill is first you do it with them. You show it. You don't tell them. One of the best things I ever had was a third grader tell me, you don't learn this stuff on a worksheet. It's a verb, it's not a noun. That's the most brilliant thing. Third grade, I said, yeah, right on. But that's exactly what you do. Right. Identify the problem, do it with the child. Then watch your footwork. The next thing you do is say, now you show me you can do it. I'm still here. Show me. When they start to get it, you go, okay, now I'm moving back. You keep moving your feet back until you say, you got it. You're on your own. Go for it. But you've shown him. You made sure that, and each kid's going to be different. I got 3 boys. They're as different as night and day. Some are going to need a little more practice than others, but that's what you do.
And I think for me, it's important. I'd love to hear your perspective. Sometimes we think that if we are doing the right thing, it's always going to feel good. What I have found as a parent that sometimes that doesn't, it feels so counterintuitive. I remember when my very first daughter, who's an adult and a mom of her own now, but I actually found a journal entry that I'd written after, I made her do something, I had that process and it was important. It was important for her growth, and I can look at it and know intellectually it was right, but I felt I didn't feel good. And I think it's okay for parents to recognize, what it's okay that this is hard, and it's okay that it doesn't feel good all the time. And people say, I can't do this because I feel so guilty, or I feel like I'm not doing my job.
That comes with something called Parenting 101. There's guilt and there's parenting, and you put together. Some of the best things I've seen is, first of all, admitting it. I love that you journaled it, because then you can go back and reflect. There was a group in San Diego of parents, and what they did is realize they were so darn lonely. So they reached out and found one other parent, and they coached together. And it wasn't like they were doing a big old thing. It was like, let's go have coffee or a glass of wine. How you doing this week? But they kept reinforcing each other. And the best thing that I love is then I read, right after they told me that, a fabulous study from University of Santa Cruz, that if you tell another person, particularly if you're a woman and you tell another mom, you're far more likely to do it, because the other person becomes your accountability partner. They call you up and they say, did you do it? Did you do it? So we got to get on board together, because a lot of times we just don't realize, there's going to be bumps and grunts, and that's what it is. We're trying to be resilient parents and bouncing back to do the right thing for our kids.
I love that.
Well, and there's nowhere to go to school to learn how to be a parent.
Exactly.
So, thank goodness for your 28 books.
You really grew up. When you grow up, you grow up.
Wow. My darn mother always gave me a journal starting at age 5. And I love her for it, because I realized, which is one of the other things we need to do for our kids. I realized what my strength was writing. And when I wrote it down, I got it out of my head. But that's not the same for every child. One of the coolest things that we can do, starting with Resilience 101 that Amy Werner said, is each child who's resilient knows what one strength they have. And that one strength becomes their go-to. But very often, that strength becomes their hobby. Now, I say that because I've spoken to a lot of university college professors and presidents, and they say they're seeing a different breed. They're smart. They're coming here, but they're dropping out. They get their first B+ and they're devastated. And why? It's a lot of times they don't have the coping strategy. And the number one time that kids are most likely to drop out of school their entire life, end of freshman year, first semester.
Yeah.
We finally get them there. One group of high school teachers, I love these Florida high school teachers. They said, we're spending the whole time getting into college. Maybe we need to do is start teaching them the skills of how to keep them there. So they're happy and have the skills to bounce back. And that's why you don't stop when they leave you. You keep on going.
So talk to our audience about social media. And, for us, this is a big issue.
Yeah.
We believe strongly that social media is addictive. It is one of those process addictions that we deal with. Almost every patient that is going to come in to us for drug or alcohol treatment asks, can I bring my phone? And a lot of them don't come because they can't bring their phone. So talk about that.
Well, first of all, parents, we are raising a different breed. They are digital natives, and you got to remember their childhoods are different from ours. Yes. The culture you raise your kids in is highly correlated to how they turn out. In fact, there's one research that says it's more important than genetics. That said, the fascinating thing is we now know that just what you said, social media and addiction to it, always looking at it first, is highly addictive. And if you look at the 7 traits of resilience, what I see, it really, really reduces number 2, which is empathy, the ability to connect with each other. Sure, the kid will go, but I'm texting. You don't learn empathy from an emoji, and you don't learn it by looking down at a screen. It's face-to-face connection. And I've had more teens tell me we just can't read each other like we used to. That said, there's research that also says that if you take it completely away, that can be damaging to a child too. What you've got to do is figure out when and where they should be allowed. And remember, you do pay the bills, so you can take it away. Some damaging, real big damaging. Number 1, I think particularly for depression, anxiety, is using that as their only coping skill, or what they say is their habit. I have more parents tell me, but he says that's his habit. That's what he's got to do for his healthy hobby. I said, watch your child and watch him carefully, because a healthy hobby, what you'll see is the more they're on the hobby, you'll see their whole body decompress. They seem to be enjoying it. They're a little more tenacious. They're eager. And when they get off of it, they're charged up and ready to go. Most kids, when they keep working on that screen and then they put it down, it's the exact opposite. Number 2, do you have a time when they're not on it? And that becomes your family unplugged time, and you stick to it. I'd say number 1 is the carpool, because they're in the car, for heaven's sakes. Number 2 is during a family meal. Number 3 is the family room. But number 4 that we overlook is bringing your cell phone to bed with you for sleep. Yes. They're the most sleep-deprived population. That is completely escalating their depression, because you're asleep, and what are they doing? Texting. And when the kid, this is the big thing, they'll come up the next morning, but I don't know when to wake up. Then you say, honey, tomorrow we're doing the greatest thing you could possibly imagine. We're going to go to Target and buy an alarm clock. So it's like, voila.
I love that.
I think
clock, how shocking.
An alarm clock. What a concept. But that'll get rid of, but I don't know how to wake up without it. Sure. And they do have a point there. But when they're sleep deprived, there goes the third element of thriving, self-regulation. You can't focus and think straight when you haven't slept or you're anxious. So there are some points. There's a lot of them, but maybe take a moment right now and say, where are our unplugged times? Because there's no take back when it comes to parenting. You got to find those one-on-one moments with your child. And if everybody, including you, is looking down, 66% of kids say we're the ones too plugged in, not them. So let's do them a favor and everybody get rid of your sometimes during the day digital devices.
there is nothing sadder for me than being at a restaurant and observing another family where the whole family is like this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we relish those times when we're together and, laughing and talking and, what so many things we would miss.
Wait, I got to add something to that because it's so funny. I was talking to a group of university kids and they were on resilience. And when they got to digital devices, they said the biggest problem they found, this was a fraternity at USC. They said the problem was we go out to dinner and everybody's looking at their phones and nobody's connecting with each other. So we made a new rule and it completely changed our whole fraternity. I said, what'd you do? The rule is the first person who touches their phone has to pay everybody else's bill. And immediately they put the phone down and they are not paying the bill because they went through it. There you go. Simple little things.
Yes. Well, and for parents, if this is something new that you're starting, it's going to feel uncomfortable for the first couple of meals, but then conversation will get going. This is what I loved about you saying consistency. Stick with it. Stick with it.
Yeah. No matter what it is. I think the other thing about parenting, we've kind of alluded to it, is we try too much. So you can do along the way at it all. But remember, the research says go with one, no more than two things. Find simple ways and the time and the place you're going to apply it until you feel comfortable doing it. And pretty soon it'll spill over to your kids. When I look at Thrivers, I put in dozens. When you asked, it's dozens of skills in there. Don't you dare try to teach all of them or your kid will never let you read another book. But figure out the one or two that you need. And then, the other thing one parent told me that was brilliant. She said, I always forgot. So I had one of my kids who was really verbal. I asked him to be my reminder. And without fail, every single day, 6:00, Mom, we're supposed to be doing that skill. And it was like, that's what we did. And we wove it in.
That.
Oh, man. I do. Yeah, I have one of those. He will.
We all
absolutely.
do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you that my wife and I are picking this up and are going to read this together because we still have kids at home. We have adult kids, but I am excited to do this together. We've been looking for a book and we've just found it.
Thank you. Here's another a couple of parents said they did that, but they didn't have a whole bunch of time. So they left the book or any book you read, but they got a copy of Thrivers and put it in the bathroom with Post-it notes. So each parent would pick it up, read it, and then put a Post-it up. That's what we're going to do. And then they'd write notes to one another. And she said it was so simple, but we found the time and place that we could connect and be on board together. Bathroom. Okay. Whatever it is, go for it.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah.
So I have to be the bad guy, right? I'm the one who says that we're getting to the point of wrapping up. I do not want to wrap up. No. There's a million more things. I hope you'll come back and we can maybe do this.
I'd love to come back because, boy, the more we get on board together, the more we're going to raise a generation that thrives as opposed to every other really unpopular term that is being used to define these group of kids.
That's right. Well, we always like to let our guests have the last word. So thinking about the audience and it's a broad variety of people. There are professionals and non-professionals and people in mental health and people and so we just like to give you the last word, thinking about our audience. What is one thing that you would want to leave from you for our audience today?
I think what we need to do is get on board and realize it's a new chapter in child rearing and teaching. We got to look at what the stats say. And it says this generation we are raising is the most anxious, stressed out, depressed generation on record. When you have 77,000 American pediatricians saying, put your time and energy into self-control because that's what our kids need, it's a wake-up call to all of us. That said, don't go overwhelming yourself. Find one or two strengths or habits, skills. Start teaching them by showing it to your child, not telling them. Keep doing it 1 to 3 minutes a day. What you'll find if you keep doing it, the habit now becomes transferred. And when your child can do it out on the playground, out on the drinking fountain, when the babysitter or the teacher says, man, he's taking those slow, deep breaths, It's spot A for you, mom and dad, because you've done something profound. That child will be able to use that the rest of their life and then at the next and the next. That's what resilience is. Helping kids bounce back and thrive when they're not with you. And that's what our kids are going to need.
I love it.
Thank you so much. If they want to learn, more about you, contact you, learn more about your books, where can they get that information?
Thank you. Well, I'm Michele Borba. I'm a 1L Michele, and Borba rhymes with Zorba. So there you go. Just go to my website, Michele Borba. I'd say, if you also go there, you're going to see, thrivers. Yes. But you'll also see assets that the publisher said they're free. There's a list of 120 strengths that you can download. There is a list of here's the 7 strengths and here's the skills that you can teach. Find what works for you, and then maybe pass it on to one other parent. Get on board together. And that's how we raise our generation that's going to thrive across those graduation days.
Dr. Borba, thank you so much. I cannot wait to speak to you again. I know you're so busy. We really appreciate your time.
Anytime. I would love to be. Thank you. Keep it up.
And thank you, Dr. D, for being here and hanging too.
Thank you, Dr. D. This was fun
today. This was super fun. Yeah, and thanks everybody who's listening or watching. We'll see you next time on The Hanley Effect.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for joining us for The Hanley Effect. To learn more about our programs, visit hanleyfoundation.org or call 844-502-4673.